This is Sarah Morrison, and I'm going to outline LexHAB's request to 2025 town meeting as part of the community preservation to support affordable housing in the amount of $494,140. LexHAB is a local affordable housing organization with 85 affordable housing units scattered throughout Lexington. We have a mix of single-family and multifamily units, everything from a one-bedroom condo to a 4-bedroom single family and everything in between with 220 tenants. LexHAB was founded in 1983, chartered by the town to address the growing concern about housing affordability, and that concern has only deepened over the years as housing has grown increasingly more expensive. September of 2024, we separated from the town of Lexington in order to increase efficiency and flexibility of affordable housing acquisition and production. And we are currently awaiting approval of our 501c3 application with the federal government, although LexHAB has been incorporated at the state level since its founding in 1983. LexHAB has 3 staff, a full-time housing director, part-time executive director, and part-time finance director, along with a contractor who takes care of all of the maintenance and repair issues. LexHAB has 8 board members with a diverse array of housing experience. The total request is $494,140, and this is comprised of preservation, rehabilitation, and restoration, decarbonization, support of community housing, as well as a contingency of 25%, because this is for fiscal year 2026. As most people are aware, we have an affordable housing crisis, both locally in Lexington, statewide, and nationwide. This means there is not enough housing for the people who need it. This housing shortage is particularly acute for low and moderate income families and individuals. In Lexington specifically, the median home price is $1.6 million, and the average rent for a market rate 2-bedroom is $3,500. More recently, this weekend in the Globe, there was an article that outlined housing prices throughout Metro Boston and Boston. And Lexington was noted as having 26 new homes for sale or newly on the market. And the lowest price of all of the homes for sale is $1.8 million. So the housing that's available in Lexington is primarily ownership. There are very few rental options, and both ownership and rental options are extraordinarily expensive. In addition to this backdrop of housing affordability, we have smaller homes being torn down at a very rapid pace and replaced by much larger, much more expensive homes. Housing diversity is interwoven with health and education issues, along with impacts on race, income, class, and culture. Housing is very much not just about shelter. Where you live impacts how healthy you are. It impacts the quality of the education that you receive. Lexington and surrounding Boston suburbs have a long history of housing segregation, and because of that housing segregation, also have a long history of education segregation. To this, the voluntary education desegregation program founded in the 60s, METCO, still exists in 2025 and is still working diligently to desegregate our education system. So we have a lot of work to do, and making housing affordable is a huge part of that work. While the housing affordability crisis is not unique to Lexington, there is a really important role that Lexington can play in solving this big, complex problem, and that is to create more affordable housing, to preserve existing affordable housing, to retrofit that existing affordable housing for climate resiliency, to decarbonize it. And this also preserving small A affordable housing and turning that into big A affordable housing. So for example, what LexHAB does is purchase small homes that ordinarily would be torn down as long as they are in good condition, and then transitions them into restricted affordable units. So these are homes that otherwise would be torn down and replaced with mansions. In addition to that, preventing homelessness by supporting extremely low-income households that are already in affordable housing units is critical. As part of our preservation, rehabilitation, and restoration request, there would be things like bulkhead replacement, roof replacement, exterior painting, and addressing erosion. All of the preservation projects protect property from injury, harm, or destruction. These include things like painting the exterior to prevent rot and water infiltration, replacing front and rear exterior doors to prevent water infiltration. Buildings are the biggest single source of greenhouse gases, and so LexHAB has been committed to meeting state and local goals for decarbonization. Our request includes transitioning 1 unit from gas to electric, and upgrading heat pumps. This aligns with Lexington's Climate Action and Resiliency Plan to electrify buildings. And the final portion of our request is in support of community housing. These are funds to make housing more affordable. LexHAB's structure is quite unique. Tenants pay roughly 1/3 of their income towards rent. So this means that LexHAB's rents are deeply affordable. And this is important to contrast into the much needed units that will be coming online through the MBTA zoning, as well as other inclusionary units, for example, at Avalon, whose rents are set, aligned with 80% AMI. So that means the rent is calculated at 30% of AMI. So for a 1-bedroom unit, that rent would be set at roughly $2,000. While a typical LexHAB unit would be closer to $1,100. So these are, quite deeply affordable units, more closely aligned to public housing. But importantly, LexHAB does not receive any permanent local, state, or federal funds to subsidize rents in the way that public housing or other affordable housing corporations are often subsidized. So we make, for the past couple of years, we have been making an annual request to CPC and town meeting to help subsidize LexHAB's lowest income tenants. And these are tenants who make below 30% adjusted median income. They are extremely low income tenants. So over the years, LexHAB has established a minimum rents to bring our rents closer to a rental income that would cover unit expenses. However, the very first minimum income was $200, and that is most definitely not enough to cover the expenses. And so we are requesting this subsidy to help cover the amount that our grandfathered tenants have at $200 a month per rent compared to our minimum rent that's set today. So for example, in a multifamily unit, we have a senior on Social Security paying $200 a month in rent, and the current minimum rent is $1,040 per month. So LexHAB is incurring a rental shortfall of $10,800 annually. And on top of that, LexHAB also pays a condo fee of $299 a month. And we've got 25 households below 30% AMI, 1 household below 40% AMI, and 1 household below 50% AMI who meet this income level. So it's important for us to be able to keep our rents deeply affordable. Thank you very much for considering LexHAB's request, and thank you for your service as the town meeting member.